Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. It was really quiet at the end of the summer, and all of a sudden things are breaking loose. It's really crazy.
I was actually feeling the same way. Like I had this weird feeling of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm waiting for something. All right. We're gonna have, I think, quite a short agenda for this last meeting. I definitely don't think it's gonna take 9 to noon. Um, okay, so let's see. Let's so I think we only got one uh set of suggestions from Bettina. And we'll hang out on this call for a minute to see if anyone else shows up with edits. Debbie, did you have any edits or recommended suggestions for the report? No.
I don't have any. Mm-mm.
Um, Amy, I think one of the questions I had is if we can still edit the executive summary or if that piece has already been sent, because I think that's where Bettina had her comments was mostly for the executive summary.
We can definitely still make those edits. And I have the document ready whenever we're ready for that discussion. I placed in her comments there so we can address them as we're coming up to that. Looks like we've got a hand raised.
Hello, 202. Who are you? It looks like they don't have a microphone. I can't tell.
I enabled the microphone, so they might need to just unmute themselves. I'm not sure. Whoever it is that's joining by phone. Oh, hi, Helen.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I'm on here and I figured out how to unmute myself now. So anyway, continue and I will jump in if I have comments or questions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Helen. Yeah, so I think the edits we got from Bettina, most of them were, I would say, just readability, which is fine and welcome. And then I think the only like substantive comment was around using contract period and not fiscal year. And I do remember her bringing that up in the discussion as well. So I think that that is a worthwhile edit because some people's contract periods might start at a different time than the fiscal year already, because that's one of the things that we learned was that that was something that wasn't always consistent. Some departments had already tried to start moving those timelines around a little bit. Yeah. And then the other ones, I think, recommendation, implementation of recommendations. Like either way, that works for me. And then Debbie said you didn't have any additional. Helen, had you gotten a chance to read through the materials? Was there anything that caught your eye that might need some editing or additional review?
No, not yet. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So I think what we can do is let's see. Amy, you were also my co-writer on this. So I think we definitely should change the fiscal year to the contract year, but we'll bring that to the group on Tuesday. For the other ones, I think I don't really have too strong of an opinion. What do you think as far as do some of these elements help with readability?
I think it's nice to have someone else's opinion because you and I looked at the document, a lot. We were in there just, working on it. So I appreciated Bettina's feedback, and I didn't see anything concerning in her requested changes. So if it's easier for her to read and understand, maybe it would help others. So I'm open to it.
Okay.
My only one question for you is up here. She did make a comment about this last sentence that she felt like these were two different thoughts, concepts combined. So I would like to address that if we could.
Okay. Employees working in social and human services within the community food and housing service industry in the nonprofit sector had a significantly lower wages compared to other nonprofit workers. I think part of the problem here is it's like a subgroup of a subgroup of the sector. So I wonder if we can just skip right to that employees in community food and housing services. I think that's the point of that sentence, is just to point out that those particular types of work had significantly lower compared to other nonprofit. And then we kind of cut out a little bit of the group within a group within a group. What do you think?
I'm sorry, I'm getting announcements on the system that Marianne has joined us, so I didn't get to hear all of your comments. I apologize, Mercedes.
I was just wondering if folks think that helps to clarify. We don't have Bettina here to ask, but I wonder if the problem with this phrasing was just that there was too many within.
Yes.
Yeah.
Simplify.
I think this helps a lot.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Hey,
Awesome.
Marianne, welcome. Bettina, Marianne, just to catch you up, Bettina had sent us an email with some suggested edits. And so we're just taking a look at those now and seeing how we might incorporate them.
Perfect.
And so there was this one that I think the other ones were pretty straightforward. It was just a little bit of rewording, changing some of the words around for readability there. And then we'll discuss the contract period versus fiscal year with the group, but I think we'll probably go with the contract period. Marianne, did you have any things that stood out to you around like suggested edits around the content or readability?
No, I thought it was really well done and laid out really well. I saw the email from Philip from NAO today asking for people to work on a panel for NAO presentations. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. I think he's just looking for volunteers and hoping
right.
some of the task force members are interested in volunteering.
Well, I'll be happy to do that if you guys don't have enough people.
Well, that would be a question for Philip. He's also invited me to participate. I think it's definitely depending on your individual capacity and interest. If that's something you're interested in doing, I would, respond back to him and let him know that you're open. But
Okay.
that's not necessarily being coordinated with the rest of our task force work. So as of right now, then these are the only changes that we would bring to the group. So we would do our regular kind of call to order, check everybody in, any public comment, and then we'd go over any of these changes. And then I figure we just do kind of like a round of closing comments. I was struggling with this. I'll take any feedback, but we're finishing something that feels really big. And usually I'd love to do that like over food, but we're we're doing this in a virtual space where we don't necessarily have an opportunity to share food together or that kind of thing. But I was trying to think of a way of closing that will feel satisfactory, that will be, I think, appreciative all the time. And that's especially not just the time of the task force members, which is definitely paramount, but also the participation of all of the agency staff, 20 something people who have been writing in these meetings with us and doing all of our homework for us so that we could be informed. I want to make sure that we're just kind of giving space for folks to do a little bit of a closing. And other than just kind of like opening up for a round of comments and reflections, I wasn't sure if there is anything else that we can do as like a symbolic show of that closure. If anyone here has suggestions, I'd love to hear.
So, I kind of think about you, sitting across and having something, having something to eat or drink with another person. But how about sharing some kind of song or some kind of poem or something else that isn't in physical form?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even playing a bit of music and saying, "All right, everybody stand up and dance for 2 minutes," or whatever, that this is a big deal. Fireworks.
Yeah. Yeah, just that's the kind of thing I feel like we're almost missing, right? Is like what is our big hurrah for our finish? But I like that, I have done, I think in other meetings, there has been like a gift giving activity where you're kind of like, I give you the gift of like your blankets always being warm, right? Or like something that's not, like you said, that's not necessarily real, but is real. And then it gives us, and you use that as a way to pass something on. Like that might be kind of cute. Helen, I thought I saw your bubble start to
No, I was
shake
just
over
gonna
there. Do you
say
have an idea?
I was just gonna say I love that because the like almost a well wish because I agree. It feels weird that we have been learning so much together on this journey for a year. It's gone by so quickly, and yeah, I love the idea of just acknowledging that. Is there really no way that we can? I don't know if there's some way we could plan something maybe in person in like a month or something, but um, if there's no rule against it, I would be happy to help um, organize.
You, Helen? I mean, I don't think there would be now, right? Like as soon as we're over, we're
Right, we're
allowed to
not a
talk to
task
each other
force.
again.
We can be in the same room.
So I have
Yeah.
Okay,
something
so maybe
here.
we can just
I have
put like we more to come.
Mm-hmm.
I have a coin that was given to me. This is my cousin died, and I think you could make it a lot of different ways, but it has his birth date and his name and everything on it. And so I'm thinking even something physical that could go to each person that they could have as a memory of what we did.
A little token of something.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. I mean, it is Tuesday, like our meeting is Tuesday, so we don't necessarily have a ton of time to do stuff,
Right.
but
And it could even be something that comes later.
our little task force on modernizing grant contracts. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
Debbie, do you know of ways that they have said thank you to task force or different members or different committees or anything like that?
Or are we
I
just so
don't.
woo-woo about it?
No, this is the first task force I've been on, so I don't know. I know one of the ways we sometimes close out projects and things like that is, just sharing gratitude. Like, let's spend the last few minutes, talking about what you're grateful for, having participated in the task force. It's kind of similar to the warm wish. Maybe those two ideas could maybe be lumped together. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that. Like a little bit like this again, when I think about doing this in person, it'd be like a little bit of like passing like a ball of yarn, right? And you make the nice
Hmm.
little grid together showing that we're like connected, but we've all done our thing. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm thinking something like that where it's just like take a moment and like share a gift with
Hmm.
somebody, or like maybe that's how you pass it, right? So like just share a little bit about like what this experience has been like, how you're walking away from it, and then to pass it to another person by offering them a gift. And, you know, the gift can be something that kind of like a well wish or something intangible or things like that. I think that'll be nice. And then, and that I think will probably be the bulk of the meeting because we don't have, like, unless people bring more, I think, edits or recommended edits to the report, you know, we only have a few to go through and it should be pretty quick. But if, you know, hopefully if other folks do have something, I was hoping this was an opportunity to try to like get those in early so we could come with a nice document ready to be approved. And then, you know, I think as far as like next steps, you know, I feel like not a ton is formal, right? That I know, our legislative representatives, Senator Campos and Representative Conrad, have both indicated that they may be moving forward with some kind of legislation, but we don't necessarily know what that is at this point. Not really clear for the governor's office. It sounded like Andre had some meetings pending to kind of call the question, what do we want to do with it? And so we don't have a ton of concrete next steps for folks. But yeah, so I think, Amy, can we maybe move the next steps up to right after the report? Because I feel like the next steps are going to be really unsatisfactory. They're going to be like, we don't really know. These are what we think is happening. Stay tuned. Whereas like then the celebration and closing remarks will maybe land a little bit better, and then we can close there. Debbie, from you all, so I was having a meeting with somebody's staffer, and I asked the question. Well, I said, I think we're done with the executive summary, so it's going to go wherever those go, and then go to you. She wasn't even sure what that process was. Do you know what that process is? Like, where are we submitting the executive summary to? Oh, you're still muted, Debbie.
That is a good question. Usually it's the committee that sort of sponsored the task force.
Okay.
So I could ask our legislative director to sort of try to figure that out for us. What we normally do when we have reports due is we give them to our legislative director and they figure out where it needs to go.
Okay. Let's see.
Do you want me to
What
take
committee?
that as an action item?
That would be great. And
Okay.
because I think just even knowing what path it takes, I'm just taking a quick look to see what committee was this bill in. And it was Human Services and then Ways and Means. That was it. So I guess, which would explain why I think Felicia at the last meeting said that Senator Gelser-Bluen was interested in potentially putting this on for a hearing because she's the chair of the Human Services Committee, right?
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's why she cares, which is great. Okay, yeah, so we'll do a little, so we'll wrap up our edits. We'll do some light touch on next steps since a lot of it is kind of a lot pending. We'll do our closing remarks, and then we'll say goodbye, and that'll be it. We'll have spent, what is it, 9 months about? 10, 11? A good amount and a ton of work. I almost want to count, let's see. When was our first meeting of this group?
It's been 12 months. We started in October.
Did we start in October? I was wondering if we started October or November. So 12 months, 3 hours a meeting a month, 36 hours.
36
plus
hours.
Whatever, yeah, plus whatever homework you did, plus if you came to the agenda planning meetings, plus if you did a subcommittee.
At least 36 times like 30 people. So
yeah. Yep. And then we have these, let's see. Amy did very nicely so that I could like control search our memo document, which is 85 pages, and our presentations, which is 508 pages, y'all. 508 pages, so almost 600 pages of documentation that we went through. That's a lot.
Wow.
A lot.
Well, any other thoughts, y'all, about things we need to do for our final meeting? All right.
Okay.
Well, we don't have to hang out for the whole hour. I appreciate all your help putting together the agenda for Tuesday. And like as much, it's funny because as much as I'm looking forward to like having that huge chunk of time back on my calendar, I think I'm gonna miss y'all. This has been fun.
Oh.
All right. Well, thank you all so
All
much.
right.
Have a great rest of your day. Stay cool out there.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.